Welcome back. Welcome back to the scoop here on the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. You grab that VET S.O.S Lifeline. We are here to help. And today we are continuing on with the military effect. It's our turn to serve campaign, and we have an individual here that he's like, Sean Kings, how do you begin these people to come here to talk about the military effect campaign? It's all thanks to Sean, his team, to Scott. I'm going to be speaking to Scott later and to share what they are doing with the book. It's connected to the military campaign, but enough about me. So who do we have here? We have Miss Melissa A. Washington. She is a woman veteran. I know y'all see that. Who's redefining what service, strength, and success look like. As a Navy veteran, a trailblazer entrepreneur, and founder of Women Veteran Alliance, a global movement changing the game for women who have worn the uniform. She's launched national platforms, funded over 30,000 in women veteran businesses, and been featured everywhere from Dr. Phil to the Balance and that. So please welcome this young lady. And she's going to share how she is contributing to the military effect campaign here today, sitting on the stoop. We're going to get the scoop. Greetings, Melissa. How you doing today?
Good. How are you? Well, and you set the tone off. You called me a young lady, so I appreciate that.
That's what it is. That's what I'm talking about, because the energy I felt soon as I had the conversation with you, I was like, man, like when you feel the good vibe, you're like, man, this is going to be a great conversation. Definitely with what you're doing in the space to help women veterans and to build out their success stories. Right. So I just want to thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank
So
you.
a little bit about you. I got the scoop on you. I got the bio and all that stuff, but the listeners and the viewers want to know, who is Melissa? What's the scoop on Melissa?
Well, you gave them a little bit of the scoop. So yes. So as you said, Navy veteran. I'm also married to a Marine, so everybody can have their apologies later. Yes, and yes. So I'm also too the daughter of a Vietnam veteran too. So having the perspective of serving myself, being a military spouse, and then also the daughter, I'm able again to have a different perspective than a lot of people, which to me strengthens what I do to be able to connect our women veterans. And I help all veterans. Granted, my primary focus is our women, as we need to be, not to say, not to always say, oh, women we're underserved or unrecognized. I want us to get past that, where yes, we are recognized, we are served. We, we're leaders, and just really having that, not just the narrative be positive, but actually the action that's happening be positive. And that's so important in the space.
Right. So, we're talking about the military effect campaign. Scott and his team, he reached out to a lot of business owners, a lot of contributors to this year-long campaign that he's pushing. So my first question to you is like, all right, Navy veteran, transition out, you're doing your own thing. Well, what sparked the idea to launch Women Veterans Alliance?
So when I first started, it wasn't Women Veterans Alliance. It became that a little over 10 years ago. I wanted the opportunity to get women connected in a professional setting, not a setting of the traditional legacy groups in that format. So January 2015, I got about 20 women veterans together at local El Chorritos in Sacramento, California. And from that, we started to meet the third Thursday of the month. It was a meetup group in the beginning. That's all it was. And then it became Women Veterans Alliance, which is now a global organization serving our women across the globe.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So it's
Wow. So you
opportunity
talk
to
about
connect. Yeah.
connections, right?
What's that?
Right. No, no, I said that you talk about connection, right? So, what is the such critical need for women veterans post service?
The connectivity, the need. So we have the what women need, or maybe they don't know what they need. So to be able to have women to be able to talk to another woman veteran changes things for many women.
Mm,
With that, because there's so many resources, right? Just in general for all veterans, right? There's so many resources out there, even though we say there's
right.
no resources, but there's so many. It's like, how do you get through all of this stuff to find
Right.
the right things that are for you, right? Because people are throwing this, and this at you. So, if we can come together and help women where she's at, right? Her needs are different now than they might be in 10 years or 10 years ago. So it's really being able to have those resources, but having someone that you can talk to or sit next to you that she understands you, and that's important.
Right, because I'm sure that you face some challenges when you was transition, right? So I know that's why, like, hey, when I transition and I get on the other side, I'm gonna start this alliance. What personally face of from Navy life to entrepreneur life, like what challenges did you face when you was making that transition?
Well, so my transition was a little different than most people. So my transition was I walked off the ship, the next month I got married, and the next month my husband went on a 6-month deployment. So that was my Navy
Mm,
transition, right? And so it's a lot different from becoming the one in the uniform, and now I'm the spouse of a Marine. And I transitioned a long time ago, but I've been through different transitions too. And that's one of the important things that our veterans need to remember is just like you, right? You transitioned out of the military and you've just gone through another transition, right? We're constantly transitioning.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
constantly evolving. And what does that evolving look like? Because again, what my needs were 10 years ago are going to be different from my needs today. And again, to be able to meet people where they're
right,
at in that transition.
right. And I know one of the things that you discuss and definitely with your alliance, you talk about visibility is power. How are you helping women veterans claim their space back?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things is too is we have conferences and meetups. But one of the other things that I created is we have
Mm.
the only online directory for women veteran-owned businesses. So we can that way we can give that visibility
Oh,
to our women
nice.
who are business owners. Also, too, we have a veteran speaker directory. So again, giving that visibility to our veterans. We have an author directory. So finding ways that we can elevate her and get her out front because they she may not know how to do that, but not just in our space, but in other spaces as well. So it's not about me, but it's about me, but it's about all the other women, right? If I can help kick the door in or whatever we need to do, let me do that because there's been so many
Right.
other women that have done that before me, right? So if we can just climb the ladder, whatever you want to call it, right? So we're just continuing just to lift each other up, and come together and be connected because there's so much power when we come together and to be able to help each other.
And that's where you talk about helping each other, right? Your new definition of purpose, how has it shifted from your time in the Navy to now? Because you talked about it, so much information out there. It's like information overload, right? Like, hey, y'all could come here as we have a repository of women owned business. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to go everywhere. You could come here one stop shop.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, with that, because again, I know I keep seeing it, but again, just to be able to sift through all of that information, and there's new information happening all the time too, right? Once we finish with this podcast, there's going to be a new nonprofit or a new program or something to be able to help. And that's what I love to do is try to be able to stay on top of all these things. So that way she doesn't have to, I can be able to, provide that information that she might need in her transition, whether it's out of the military or maybe she's ready to start a business or go back to school or she wants to retire or she wants to find volunteer opportunities. I mean, there's again there's so much out there, and that's why to be a connector. A lot of people call me a connector, right? And that's why Scott and I we get along so well too with with his military effect and the networking and connecting with people, right? So it's like it's not what you
Yes.
know, it's who you know, and having that network of people and saying, "Oh, well, have you talked to so and so?" That's important because if you really think about it, our community is very small, right? If you like just a percentage of veterans, I
Right.
mean, there's probably people that I know that you know, and it just and then just
Yeah.
having that connectivity. But what happens too is a lot of men and women that are transitioning out of the military, they don't know how to do that. How do you network? Because it's a lot different when you're in the uniform and now you're out of the uniform. And I think and that's where um, a lot of what Scott's doing with that um, the military effect is how do we connect with each other, and the importance of doing that, and it's how we do it too, right? It's the relationship. It's not a
Right.
transaction. It's building relationships with individuals as well.
And you talk about so building relationships. So, I see when you say, you went on Dr. Phil, right? You got on the stage with you got on the Dr. Phil show and the balance of act. How did those two things amplify your message? Like, I can only imagine just me and Dr. Phil for the first time and then having that to amplify your message, right? A huge stage.
Absolutely, well, amplifying the message, and it's even great when there's reruns, because that was years ago
Yes.
that happened,
Right.
right? And the balancing act too. You can find all those still on the internet, of course. But ways we can amplify, right? So it's not just people on TV, it's people, doing this podcast, it's
Right.
amplifying. So finding ways and opportunities that we can amplify our message. And that way people become drawn to you, right? Because they see you and they may not like what you say or they may love what you say, but the biggest thing is they can relate what you're talking about. And that's the thing too. And that's the big thing. What I love to do is like I try to be relatable to whoever is watching, or some people might say, "Oh, I, not interested," but that's okay because there's gonna be the ones that need to hear it.
And one of the things that, with the military effect, is I tell people, the R word, the resilience word, what have you learned about resilience?
Mm.
Definitely your time in the service and now on the entrepreneur side and about networking and about helping women get their foot reestablished, right? Because it's a huge transition from active duty, back to the civilian sector. Definitely as an entrepreneur, um, with your story and journey, how has that been useful for other women that's trying to do that transition? And they came across your message on Dr. Phil. They're gonna come across here on the VET S.O.S podcast, and they're gonna come across the military effect and see you sharing information about your organization. How has that helped propel you forward?
Be of the whole being resilient, right? So it's when we're
Yeah,
resilient, it's how we handle things, right? To be able to be it's not I mean, people say it
right,
can be tough. You've got the armor on. You're not going to let things, right? You have that resiliency, that strength, that grit, right? These are all things that go into being
right.
resilient and the importance, but also too, yes, resilience, but also being vulnerable at the same time. And that's a key for me is having that vulnerability. Yes, I'm resilient and does things bother me? Absolutely. But how can I bounce back or how can I do better? How can I make that difference with that? And it all connects, right? It's your purpose, being resilient in that,
Yeah,
having that grit, having trying to have no fear, right? We all have fear, but getting over that, getting the imposter syndrome. I mean, there's
right.
so many things that happen, but to be able to have somebody that you can talk to about that, right? Or even if you're just, just talking and just laughing about stuff, that's so important for us to have as
Right.
a society. I mean, we get into, people being isolated and not having that connectivity. And that's again why it's so important that we have that connectivity and that it's not always online. The ways we can, meet in person, whether it's for a cup of coffee with somebody. And I'm probably going way off of what you originally asked me, but this is just what's being downloaded to download to
Right.
share with you as you're getting the scoop.
Right. One of the things you talk about was he's like create. One thing that stuck out to me when I was doing some research on your organization and like Melissa watched, like one of the things you said was a legacy of impact. Create a
Mm.
legacy of impact. What's the scoop on that?
Absolutely. So when people think of legacy, they think of different things, right? So when I was in my
Mm.
20s, I probably didn't think about my legacy. 30s, probably not. 40s, yes. Now I'm in my 50s. So what?
Right.
So that's why when you called me young lady, I appreciated that. Um, when we look at what's our legacy, right? So if I were when I go,
Right.
what is my legacy? Granted, it's still here. I'm here. But it's that impact. It's I can my legacy is I
Right.
built a bench in the park. But what is that doing, right? It's creating that impact that we have on our ability to be able to impact others. So impact is my impact, but it's my impact on
Right.
her. It's my impact on her that also helped her family, right? So if we can create that, I mean, granted, I would love for people to say my name the rest of their lives. But again, what are we creating as women veterans as far
Right.
as what our legacy looks like? And our legacy probably looks different for everyone. Um, but I want to be able to impact others, and I'm going to continue to impact um, others for as long as I can.
Right. Some of the impacts that you talk about, I found some words that Melissa said, right? I'm like, wow, that's powerful. One of the things you mentioned was I didn't just want connection, I needed it.
Hmm. That can absolutely
Something
the
else you
connect
said is
the
like, you don't have to wait for permission to lead.
just do it. Just like the group. People ask me, well, how did you set up a group or why did you set up the group? Just do it. Just get out there. If it's not there, you can create it. That's what we can. All these things we can create. But if you don't know how to do it, find other people, right? That can do that. And one of the things too, so I got the Women Veterans Alliance, and then I founded Women Veterans Giving, and that's the nonprofit partner.
Ah,
And with that, why did I start that? Several reasons, but one of them is being an entrepreneur myself, as well as a small business owner.
mhm,
One of the biggest hurdles we have is finding money, right? So many people, myself included, where you
right,
refinance your house, you stretch your credit cards, or you don't pay this because you have such a purpose and a passion to do what you love. But then it's like, okay, but now I got to figure out how am I going to make money to do that? So that's why we created a small business award that we give to be able to infuse some cash back into our women veterans who are founders of whether it's a for profit or nonprofit. If we can get that cash in there to be able to help her get to the next level, that's what we've done, and we've given over $30,000. And it may not seem like a lot to some. I mean, we've impacted a lot of women, but not only just when you impact her, you're impacting others. So whether it's now she's got this money, so now she can hire people. So now she's helping
right,
other people with that. And we're, very much a volunteer nonprofit, very much grassroots organization having an impact. And, we need to continue to fuel our small businesses, and that also includes our smaller nonprofits as well, because there's a lot of great work is being done, but if there's no money coming in, how can those continue to sustain that?
Right. And definitely by serving, right? So you served in the service. Now you're serving other veterans, women veterans. One of the things you said, like the service continues. It just wear different shoes.
It does. It evolves, right? We continue to evolve. So if my service transition, whatever you want to call it, 10 years ago looks different than it does today, right? We continue to evolve um, with that, uh, and how important that is to recognize that we're continuing to evolve.
And you saying about evolve. So what's next? What's next for the alliance? What's next for Melissa? What's next for the military? Like what's the next step? Cause we keep talking about it, right? We've been dancing around it. So
Yes.
what's next?
What's next? What's next? Well, when this airs, whoever's watching, hopefully will have found. I'm ready to step aside on Women Veterans Giving as the director. Of course, I'll be the founder, but I'm stepping aside to be an advisor, still on the board, but not an officer role, to give an opportunity for another women veteran to come and take this organization and continue to evolve it. And to be able to, that's one of the things. What's next? Opportunity for me. And not just for me, but for others, right? So if we could create these opportunities and then open up other opportunities for others, that's one big thing that we've got going on. And a lot of mine is just for me personally, in my business, continuing to do speaking engagements. Um, I'm working on I have a chapter in another anthology book. I've got 2 books out, a third book coming. So I've got
Nice.
that, some ebooks on there. I'm just doing more consulting work, really working with our women veteran founders and just opening up to women to be able to have conversations with women that are, in business as well. And one other quick thing that I just want to do a plug for is I also started veteran events. So if you Google veteran.events, we have an online
Mm.
calendar where people can submit events. If it's military veteran related in the community, you can find events. I want this to be the hub, the connection hub, where it's like, okay, if you're looking for a veteran event, you come to this website. And then also on that site is where we have our speaker directory, which is open to men or women veterans that are
Oh,
in
nice.
that speak. So you don't have to be, a big time speaker. I mean, if you're just locally, being speaking to speak or to have a podcast or whichever, we want to help elevate our women veterans and our male veterans. It is open to men. We do have one guy on the directory. So if you're interested in being our directory, definitely get out there and get on our directory as well.
Nice. That's all I'm talking about. So how can they get in contact with you? You shared about that, but how can they get in contact with Melissa? Like, you know what? I need to ask Melissa a question. How do they get in touch with
Absolutely.
you?
Whether through social media, or you can just Google my name or Google Women Veterans Alliance. I guarantee you I'm coming up on your first page. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Um, Email me, Melissa at womenveteransalliance.com. And feel free, again, you can contact me through our website as well. And any way that, somebody wanted to connect or just have an idea, um, and there's no stupid question either.
So I just want to thank you, one, for being part of the Military Effect campaign. You know, it's our turn to serve, right? That's the motto behind the Military Effect campaign. And Scott is putting together an awesome team of contributors. Definitely, when I speak to we have people that's in the book that share part of their story. We have individuals like you that's just coming onto the campaign just to share the resources, right? Because, like you said earlier, so much resources out there. It's is that seeing. And what's the best place to be? Like the VET S.O.S podcast, where the motto is you do not have to drown in the sea of transition, right? You grab that VET S.O.S lifeline. So people are going to come here, they're going to grab that lifeline, and to at least we could show them the right location. Like, hey, go speak to Melissa and her team. Go reach out to Scott and his team. Like, you don't have to walk around or in the middle of the ocean. Have you ever been on a cruise before? And like that ship is so big, but by the time it get in the middle of the ocean, it's so tiny. And when it gets dark outside, like you can't see nothing.
Yes.
But if you're out there
That's the
to
best
see
time to go
that
out.
that orange and white donut, and you see that orange and white donut come across, you just paddle and paddle, you just see that donut, and you just grab it, and then somebody's pulling you in onto the boat. That's us. That's what we're doing. Veterans helping veterans. This is a great platform to share resources. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the listeners and viewers that's going to come across this. So thank you for everything you have done for the veteran community. Thank you everything you've done for the women community, and
Well,
just thank you all
thank
together.
you. Yeah. Th- Thank you for having the scoop, and Scott for the military effect and all the stuff and all the continued effect that that's going to have. And you got Sean with, he's a award winner on the SOS podcast, and veterans are doing some amazing things out there. And we shouldn't be afraid to boast, hey, this is what we're doing. I know a lot of people want to be like, I don't want to talk about that, but it's not just, and I just want to leave people with this is, yeah, I'm boasting about what I do, but it's also what I do for others because others need to see it. So if I don't come on podcasts or I don't get out there, how are others going to
Right.
see me and all the things that we're doing, right? So it's important. That's why these types of, podcasts, the military effect are important. So we have the visibility. Again, not just, it's not helping me, it's us helping all of our brothers and sisters.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Remember to like, subscribe, share it with a family member, share it with a friend, share it with a veteran, share it with your neighbor. How about that? Share, 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 like. Until next time, take care, everybody. Peace.
Bye. Thank you.